Awesome. Oh man, this episode's kind of like actually humming along. Ready? We're about an hour in. We're about to get into our biggest topic here. But before we do that,
Sorry.
let's take a moment to thank our sponsor, Tough Wraps. Again, go to toughwraps.com. Put in that code Joystick for 10% off your purchase. Please, 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 please. And then next, final round.
Roman code. Do it.
Boom, 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 boom.
All right, so we want to do like first like minute or two, no spoilers. How we thought about the movie.
Yeah, I think
Go.
that's great. I want to do first 2 minutes how we felt about it, and then I want to do 3 things. I want to follow the Prestige montage line of things. So remember the movie Prestige, Christopher Nolan film, not related to this Batman. Yeah. He mentioned how the first part of any good trick, you show something ordinary, right? And the second part of any good trick, you show something.
Are you slipping into Michael Caine right now? Because it sounds like you're kind of slipping into Michael Caine right now.
For the second part of any trick, you show the audience something extraordinary, and then for the third part of a trick, the Prestige, then you bring the extraordinary back. Yeah, so that's kind of how I felt about this movie. And we'll get there. First 2 minutes, I enjoyed it. And what I enjoyed about it was two things. Not a Bruce Wayne movie. This was a Batman movie.
You barely saw Bruce Wayne at all.
And if he was, he had his eye makeup on, which thank you for keeping that in. They just didn't suddenly disappear.
Thank God.
Number 2, what I think it did really, really well was emulate the feeling of a comic book. In the comics, Batman does things like narrate to himself. He talks about it. He helps talk the audience through it with those monologues. We get these kind of asides as a reader, and we got that through the narration of the film. Those things that nod to a comic, the slow build-up of story arcs. We got the main story arc that is what the point of the entire series is. We get these kind of one-off, questionable series that we get through 1 or 2 comics, and then all of a sudden, 12 issues later, we've got an entire story arc that we call XYZ, right? Like, that's what this movie was in 3 hours. And maybe it could have taken longer in a series or something like that, but for 3 hours, 1 movie, fuck yes, let's go.
Yeah. This was, as a Batman film, probably the best Batman movie I've seen. I think that a lot of what made the Nolan Batman trilogy great were its set pieces.
Yes.
Your training montage with Ra's al Ghul
on the pillars and all that.
I thought Bale was, after watching Pattinson as year 2 Batman, I thought Bale was a little old for that age of Batman.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So, but as a Batman movie, this hit all the marks. The first being that Gotham is a shithole. Gotham is always portrayed as a shithole, but especially in the Nolan movies, not the first one, because the first one you still got that Gotham was a shithole, but in the Dark Knight and in the Dark Knight Rises, it looked very much like Chicago or Pittsburgh or anything like that. Where like there were very nice parts of those movies. This Gotham in this movie looks like shit everywhere.
I got a very much Tim Burton vibe from even just the downtown, like all the different ads. It was big. It was bigger, double the size of like New York's Times Square, right? All of those signs. I felt like you could have been claustrophobic just standing in front of that entire building of just signs. Right.
I love that this is a detective movie. Like I say from the it's essentially if Batman did the movie Seven.
Yes.
And Seven is my favorite movie of all time. Like start to finish. I love that movie. David Fincher at his best. I think that this movie does what I wanted the Joker to do better.
Nice.
It was just enough Batman to make me happy that it was a Batman movie, but also grounded enough that there are parts of it that make you feel uneasy because it's kind of like the world that we're living in. And when we get into
Right.
spoilers, we'll talk a little bit about that.
For sure.
Because there's one set piece in particular that made Ashley feel very uneasy, and I completely agree with her. But yeah, as a film, I loved it. There are absolutely gripes that I have with the movie. Um, I think legitimate criticisms, and I think that you and I briefly spoke about it, and Mike too. The dialogue can get a little bit choppy and
For sure.
campy. Um,
But I got
but
those.
performance wise, Pattinson fucking killed it.
Hell yeah.
As Batman, like, and you know, Ashley said Ashley said he plays brooding so fucking well. And like he says like she's like, I know how much he hates that he did the Twilight movies, but like those prepared him to be a brooding Bruce Wayne. But I know that
Sure.
he could do both, and that's what's got me so fucking excited for this, because I know that Pattinson can also be that rich, arrogant asshole.
What was he? What was the movie he was in with Timothy Chalamet, where he was like the Prince of France? And he just shows up and he's
Yeah.
talking mad shit.
The
He's
King.
like,
King.
yeah, he's like, I'm just going to fucking
Yeah.
kill you. Like he's definitely got that cock of the walk. Like, I own this room, even when I'm surrounded by enemies. Fuck you in the face, right? And then you get this. To your point, you get this brooding. He said a lot without doing shit in a lot of this film, right? And that to me is what really carried it. You ready to kind of jump into our 3-part
I love it. Let's
digest? All right. So I will.
spoilers.
All right. The banners are up. I'm gonna give you the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. First things first. To me, the things that break this up is our fear or lack of fear or resolution of fear with the Riddler. Those are the 3 kind of phases for me. The first part, we're building a fear, right? The mayor is at home. His family is out doing Halloween things on Halloween night, which I love that. The minute was like Thursday, October 31st. I was like, it's Halloween. Oh my God, it's Halloween. I got so amped up about it. And my favorite was just like, you see clearly a nice building. You see a family with a child. The child is dressed up like a ninja, basically. You're like, is this the Wayne family? We're about to see them get.
That's what I'm saying.
Get got,
So,
you
like,
know.
The fake out right in the beginning, like that made me audibly roll my eyes
Yeah,
when I
you're like-
saw a young kid and a mom and a dad, and I was like, "Fuck! If we're gonna see the Waynes get killed right in the beginning of this movie again,
Yeah.
like I'm literally gonna lose my fucking mind because
Well, yeah.
I've had enough of it."
And to me, if you were going to do that, it wouldn't have been a ninja, right? It would have been Zorro. Like the kid would have been Zorro, because that's what Batman, originally was based off of. But like, and then all of a sudden, there's the mayor. He's watching TV, and he's basically just watching himself get bodied by his competition, which was refreshing. And I audibly was like, "Oh shit!" When he moved out of frame and Riddler standing behind him, I was like, oh, that was great. Because again, you're going into the Batman not thinking horror movie, and then all of a sudden,
Right.
there's the murderer behind you. You're like, oh shit, this is about to get real. So that to me, right off the bat, set the tone that this is not your Mr. Freeze kind of movie. It was very much going to be a different film,
Right.
and that starts off the opening of the trick, really, is that he's scary. He's not fucking around. Here's this murder weapon that at first just looks like a hammer with
Right.
a weird end on it. And very, very angry, kind of bludgeoning and beating. And off we go. I love the fact that it's an early Batman, and we get that kind of pretty initially because of Gordon's timeline. So if Gordon was commissioner, which is something we don't know. Okay, we roll into the movie. What year is it? How many
Right.
years is Batman doing his thing? We get Gordon kind of feels like he's got the room under control, and then all of a sudden, here comes a bearded, hefty man being like, "Gordon, what the fuck are you doing?" And he's like, "Sorry, Commissioner. Like, thank you, Jeffrey Wright, for playing dominant, and then meek in the same
God
scene.
damn, I fucking love Jeffrey Wright.
So good, so good.
He's so goddamn good.
And then we get that from it, and it rolls from there. I think many of the things, again, and while I'm saying all this, I feel like that's just the first 5 or 6 minutes. You've seen most of that in the trailer.
Of the trailers that you see is the first 5 or 6 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, and then you of course see, the monologue which I described earlier, where he's kind of setting up the fact that the bat signal comes on. We got a signal now. It's not just a calling; it's a warning. And they think I'm in the darkness. I am the darkness, because all villains are kind of looking in the dark, like, shit. Is he right there? Is he about to get my ass? And then, of course, he just bodies all those bad guys at the very beginning of the movie. I know you're going to know it, so I'm going to ask. The kid who's clearly trying to join the gang. He's trying to join the gang, half maked up. What is he from?
I feel like so I didn't look him up. He looks like the guy who played Tim Drake in Titans. I thought it was him. I
feel like it's him. And if it's not, they look exactly similar.
Exactly alike. He looks just like the kid who plays Tim Drake in Titans, which is
feel like it is
so interesting.
Yeah, of all choices, right? I'm just like, huh? Is that the guy? So of course, my whole brain is broken because I'm seeing this dude. I'm like, you're also in the Batman universe. What?
That whole opening scene had me fucking hooked. The monologue, the way it was shot, the score, and then him walking out of the fucking shadows.
The slow steps. The fact that they all heard it like it was ambient. Like they couldn't tell where it was coming from. And it's just like him slowly walking up. And that happens several times throughout the film, of just like it's very tempered, very like it gives you the presence of there's confidence in that stride. At the same time, there's no fear, there's no anticipation of battle. It's just like, okay, I'm going to keep calm because they're going to be erratic. I don't need to be erratic on top of it, right? Like that to me was big, and it's so silly that you can read into something so simple. But you've got a lot of other Batman movies or other action movies that are very quick paced, and there's a lot of hit and flash and boom. But this movie was so damn long,
It was very long.
That you had time to play with.
And that's part of the reason why I said I think I would have benefited more if I watched this movie at home.
Yeah.
Because it did feel long at some points. I was like, fuck, this is like when you think it's kind of like the climax of the movie, you got like an hour left, and I was like,
that's what I'm saying. What? Like that's why I break it into those 3 pieces. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. It did feel long in the tooth, but it's like, but as soon as it started feeling long for me, like they completely like brought me back. Like after the Riddler is caught, after he kills Carmine Falcone, I was like, all right, we got to be getting to the end of the movie, and then there's the whole shit at Gotham Square Garden, but when he's interrogating him and the Riddler starts saying Bruce,
and he just stares straight ahead.
Oh, fuck, he knows.
He just stares straight ahead.
He's Bruce Wayne. And I was like, that's insane. I didn't see that coming. And then like 5 minutes later, we almost got them all.
And he's just like,
we missed Bruce Wayne. And I'm like, fuck.
And then doesn't know he's Bruce and then Wayne. His eyes turn. You're like, ah! Like the whole audience just goes, but really his eyes are doing all of that with just twitch, just a little twitch. Like, you're so close. If I had moved, I would have given myself away, you know. But yeah, I love. By the way, my favorite. So rewind it. So of course things kind of kick off. The Riddler starts murdering people. We start getting these little follow the magic riddle storyline thing, which is awesome. I was happy enough that I caught some of the riddles right away. Others I was a little bit slow on. So if I felt smart yet stupid, and
I got
then
like the first one, and that was it. What
justice,
What
right?
does? It's like the dead lie.
Yeah, we lie. They lie still, right?
Oh yeah, I got that. One.
But like, what I like is that there's this the build up, right? The very beginning of the trick is the build up of fear, and then I remembered it's called the turn. The turn is where the end of that turn is that we're no longer afraid of the Riddler because he's caught by the police. Right now, he's behind bars. Batman's got him right where you want, and that's when the Prestige shows up, and all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, I thought you were smarter than I gave you credit for." And you're like, "What?" And all of a sudden, you start to realize shit's about to go off again. We got a whole nother
That was
act.
what had Ashley sideways, like the whole scene of them in Gotham Square Garden and them like loading guns up
Just
top and
bloating the seawall.
very reminiscent of what happened in Las Vegas. She was like, that was super unnerving because like shit like that can happen.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know, like it's very grounded in reality.
What irks me too is that, the whole movie we're seeing these photos, right? We're seeing photos of people walking out of the what is it? It's gonna bother me. 44 Below is the secret bar. The other chill lounge, whatever it's called, where the Penguin resides. But we're all seeing the same photos. We're seeing different people from the same exact angle.
Fuck, I didn't even fucking realize that.
Yeah, and that's what gets me after the fact.
Son of a bitch.
It's all the same angle. So every time you saw a picture of the mayor walking out, of the DA, you saw the picture of the commissioner, it's all the same angle. So it's clearly from the same window.
I had no idea.
And nobody fucking thought to look
Nobody
goddamn up. Look up. And he's like, bring him out into the light. It's the same window he shoots him from. Like, dude. Yeah, and that's when you go, like, where are these pictures coming from? Yeah, physically, where are they coming from? Nobody's going to... What? It just happens to be some sleuth who just loves this angle of the same front door? No. I mean, granted, you could say, oh, that might have been security footage ripped from a camera that's on the corner. Okay, fine.
Right.
But at least check it out, man.
So, I have a question.
Fired
What is the one thing that fell flattest for you?
Iceberg Lounge. Well, I'm gonna probably be hated for my opinion on this. I think every scene that had Zoe Kravitz in it, where she wasn't trying to be romantic with Robert Pattinson, was great. I think their romance fell flat.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
Okay.
I say that because I'm a very passionate man, and no amount of leather would have kept me away from the Catwoman. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's already weird enough that we got the voyeuristic kind of view of her apartment, right? And now he's got like contacts and earpieces. That dude's trying to be inside her the entire movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, now I'm going to Bloodhaven. There's going to be nothing? Going to go to Bloodhaven? You better follow her for a little bit. Like, hey, let's you want to see my scars? Like, let's go. Like, come on, man. But the other part of that, I think, is same thing. Is just the pace of it. There's parts that were like they started to feel slow, and instead of getting bitchy about it personally, I started having to kind of tell myself like, this is a part of the comic where you go 3 or 4 pages, and there's 3 or 4 pages of panels that are showing you details, and if you miss the details, you're a fucker. Like, for instance, Thomas Elliot being the reporter, right?
The reporter's name is not Thomas Elliot.
It's not
the
Thomas.
Reporter's name, I think, is like Gerald Elliot or something, but but it says Hush right after that.
Yeah.
So they're obviously setting up something with Hush.
Right. The other thing,
is the best Batman story of all time.
Tell me about them tattoos, bro. And then, of course, I think what also fell flat for me, and I hate to be that guy, was the Joker's appearance. I love the frazzled hair.
I don't fucking need it.
But
like, you don't need it. Like,
the nose prosthetic was pointless.
I love Barry Keoghan. I really do.
Yeah,
I thought his appearance as Druig in Eternals was
wonderful.
probably the highlight of that movie for me.
Yeah,
Um, I am with Mike. I'm just jokered out.
I agree. He didn't need
Like
to be
I'm
there.
jokered out. Like he didn't need to be there.
Mm-mm.
Um, Ash said if they keep him in Arkham for a movie or two, and it's not the next movie's the Joker, then I think that I would be ready for a Joker in movie 3 or maybe movie 4. Um, so Pattinson already said what he wants to do next with this, and that's court. And I will fucking in this universe, I will lose my fucking mind if Court of Owls is a thing.
I will first off before I forget that Court of Owls reminds me immediately that the bat signal on the chest is useful. In Court of Owls, it was a light. It was like a flashlight.
Yeah.
In this, it's the fucking batarang. It's awesome. But Court of Owls is so fucking good. It's, again, hitting that higher up of rich to-do fuckers with too much money and too much time.
And I think that's
yeah.
like, that was a big prevalent thing in this movie. The thing that hit me the hardest the most was how beautifully this movie was shot.
Oh, yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
The kick in after he's done at the mayor's house for the first investigation and he's on his motorcycle back to the cave and that Nirvana cover comes on
underneath the bridge.
I was like, this is fucking cool. Again, this is what I wanted Joker to be. This is what I wanted Joaquin Phoenix's Joker to be. I think Joaquin Phoenix's Joker movie is a great movie. I think it is not a Joker movie. It is literally just this is what happens when a guy who is completely untreated with mental health issues fucking loses his mind and all of that. Like,
no, I agree.
Like I said, there was enough Batman in this movie for it to still feel like a Batman movie. Batman has some of the best rogues gallery in fucking comics. Like,
do you want to list off the ones they kind of trickled out on this one? We got Riddler, we got Joker. Just two more.
Riddler,
right?
Joker, Hush.
We saw it. We saw it for a little bit, I think. This is speculation.
Who?
When he's about to fucking basically die or pass out as Catwoman's about to die, he rips that patch off.
Yeah.
And it's bright green.
It's green.
It's so bright, glowing green. It's got to be Venom, dude.
She was like, I was like, what do you think that was? She was like, I think it was adrenaline. I was like, it's a bright green. I think it's Venom.
And then, especially his reaction, it's not just like, I'm up and awake. I'm angry, pissed, and brutal.
Like fucking going crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. We also have Penguin. I mean, Penguin's in it. We haven't talked about Penguin at all. I mean, fucking Colin Farrell is unrecognizable.
If I hadn't just watched Hot Ones with Colin Farrell, I would not have recognized that voice.
Yeah.
But it's his tone of voice. I mean, any accent I do, I can do a little bit, but I always come out. Colin Farrell came out, but it was so good, man. It was, to me, it was
John
the way
Turturro was great too.
The mouth. Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, John
Turturro. He's good in every fucking thing he does.
He's the Jesus. And the way the mouth movement of the prosthetics, like sometimes when you see prosthetics, everything wrinkles in a weird way. Like that's clearly pulling on real skin to make a way for like a big piece of like silicone or foam. It was so natural looking. I mean, if nothing else, the scars were just aligned with the way his mouth would have creased naturally to make the scar look like the thing that was crinkling in the weird way. And I love the fact that it was practical effects for jumping that car. And the flames were real and all that kind of stuff. It was like a one-off shot. Mm-hmm. It looked so good. And then him just slowly walking over. Same thing. Haffey called this out. He said the sound design of his walk is crazy. You can definitely hear spurs. You heard it with that like subway fight. You heard it when he was in the church walking up to the DA. And then I think you can definitely feel it, at least in the music, when he's walking up to the car. But when he slowly peers around the edge of the window, like I couldn't help but sitting there in the audience and be like, "Are we looking at me? Hello?"
Yeah,
it was lights out, awesome. Just damn it.
And the last thing I'll say, about the movie. Batman gets his fucking ass kicked a
Dude.
lot in this movie.
Yeah.
And Mike says it lowers the stakes because essentially he's unkillable in the movie. However, Batman gets the shit kicked out of him a lot. He gets shot a whole lot. He gets his ass whooped a whole lot. He gets his fucking ass kicked.
I love the fact that like we have basically the same exact explosion twice, right? The first time we get it, Batman is literally right in front of the explosives as that dude's face gets blown off. And he wakes up and he's ready to fight the entire Gotham PD. Same explosion from Alfred, though. Granted, he's behind a desk. Alfred's still out. Alfred's nothing to be fucked with. You know, he's got a cane, all right? That's fine. He might not have his cufflinks in that moment, but still, and gets a little bit of a coma from it. Dude, I mean, to me, I know there's like debate whether or not Batman is a metahuman with a little bit more of a healing factor, blah, 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 blah. But in this movie, that doesn't count, right? Until proven otherwise.
Right.
That's just sheer determination and just general fuckery. I mean, Mahaffey called it out that he enjoyed when he got to the top of Gotham PD and went to jump and was like, "Oh shit," you know, like,
this is a lot higher.
Yeah, and then had to, you know, quickly zip up that wingsuit up, and then takes the wingsuit down. I'm like, okay, this is where we get that quick, like, cool scene from the trailer, and we do, and then we get the scene not from the trailer
where he gets fucking hit by a train.
Dude, when he tries, he's clearly eyeballing that like truck to land on it. He rips the parachute, and instead the parachute catches on like a light. He hits that truck, hits the top of that overpass, and just skips for about 30 yards. And he like gets up like, ah! I audibly laughed out loud, and I felt so goofy because nobody else did. Everybody else was like, ooh, and I'm just like, bah! Like, oh my god, yes. Yeah, this is definitely year two. And again, there's so many multiple like small things we catch, right? Year two meaning like because Batman is clearly narrating over the film, but he's also writing everything he's saying down, and we see that because he says his last sentence, and we see him writing this last sentence in a journal, and he closes the journal, and it's the Gotham Project, year two. Yeah. And if I recall, when he goes to Bloodhaven, like a couple of years ago, he called it the Bloodhaven Project, if I remember right. So like, it's definitely, again, so many nods to the comics, but also nods to like the films before, like Shakespeare still being a bust in the Wayne Mansion, that giant Shakespeare bust. Things like that I think really call it out. Obviously Wayne Tower, that kind of stuff, but dope.
Go see it.
Do it.
The other fucking DC movies look like that, except for Black Adam. Black Adam looks fucking cool.
Well, of course, you got Pierce Brosnan, a couple people like that. That was the other trailer I got, the DC combos.
DC, yeah, I saw that and I was like, man, I could give a fuck about Aquaman. I could also mostly give a fuck about the Flash movie.
I saw like
looks pretty cool.
I saw a clip. They were like, "How's that feel? How's it feel to be here supporting your stepdaughter, Jason Momoa?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's weird for my kids. Their dad's Aquaman, their sister's Catwoman." You know, I'm like, yeah, it's got to be super bizarre, dude. Like,
I love the fact. Okay, so like Jason Momoa, I love Jason Momoa. I love the fact, not love the fact that him and Lisa Bonet split, but like now they're back together working.
Yeah, trying again.
I was like, we need that in the world.
Hell yeah.
Like we're in a fucking, you know, in a pandemic, precipice of a global conflict.
All you need is love, man.
Government is absolutely fucking terrible right now, but like, yeah, that was kind of nice to hear that Lisa Bonet and Jason Momoa are working on their marriage.
Hell yeah. Man, I know it was like it's our usual time, about an hour and a half episode.
Hour and a half.
Very small amount of things up front, but damn, you can't just very quickly get through 3 hours of content, and we just barely touched the surface, dude. We barely touched the surface. There's so much in there.
I know. Go watch the movie. We didn't even talk about Andy Serkis. Go watch.
We didn't talk about Andy Serkis. We didn't talk about Penguin. Really, we barely touched. We just said John Turturro's in it. We didn't give anything away about his relationship with other characters in it. We didn't really talk about Catwoman. I mean, the movie's called The Batman. Maybe next week we'll talk about the Catwoman. You know what I'm saying? Yep. So, God, if you got the time, according to this image I've got on my screen, it's in theaters, and then there's a HBO Max release.
That would be cool.
This might just be a
I'm
fan-made
gonna look it up right now.
picture, so hopefully that's nice.
I'm looking it up right now.
Please don't hold me accountable for this image. I've given photo credit to YouTube. I didn't say which channel, but I highly doubt it was also released today. That'd be crazy. I'd be so pissed. I actually went in the theater, had to hear some people chirping for a little bit. But
April.
there you go. I knew it was like 45 days or something like that. It was like
45 days. Yeah.
That's it. So there you go. Mid-April. Go check it out. Or go in theaters in the middle of a matinee because ain't nobody there right now.
Yep.
But so good.
Do one
so
of those.
good. That wraps it up for this week, episode 33. Again, thanks to our sponsor, Tough Wraps. Thank you, Don, as always, for being here. Thank you, chat, McLean Mahaffey, and that random guy, Ernest Hawkins, at the beginning of the show. Never heard of that guy.
That dude's cool.
Yeah, he
That
sounds.
guy fucks. This guy fucks.
Just like Mads Mikkelsen, this guy fucks. But yeah, see you next time. As always, peace.
Peace.
God,
Gotta take my hood off.
yes, sir. Such a good episode.